All right, we are back at it again with another episode, and today I have someone that has legitimately been in and out of my life. I think for years now, man. We've connected back and forth through various means, and I'm glad that we could finally do this. At some point, we'll have to do it in person, but I'm glad that you are here today, Matt. I really appreciate you making the time for it, dude. Welcome in, man.
Yeah, pumped to be here. I love what you build and excited to finally be a part of it.
Yeah. So, dude, I mean, I think that some people have a little bit of background on you that already listen to the podcast, right? Brawl for a Cause founder, chess boxing. Hey, you won the world championship. Like a lot of things have going on, but like that's who everyone has known Matt is up to this point. Like I've seen some definitely some new developments in your life and some new things that you've jumped into. Do you want to talk about what is most important to you that you're working on now?
Yeah, first and foremost, what's always most important is health, and we're in a good space, good container to talk about that on this podcast. But always putting staying alive before anything else. If I'm not alive, I can't do anything else. So health is first and foremost. And then once I fill that cup, I can overflow into the other things, the family, the friends, and then the passions. So I love building businesses around my passions. You mentioned a few, but yeah, I also keep my personal life pretty private and my passions pretty public, which is why you may have heard of Brawl For A Cause or chess boxing or some of the other projects. But yeah, happy to dig into any and all the above.
Yeah, man. Now, can you walk us back through how do you even get to chess boxing? Because I know that you were a boxer first, right? And I know that maybe goes all the way back. No, you weren't. You played chess first.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
here we go.
grew up with a single mom. She had me in after school programs and all kinds of extracurriculars because she had to work. So after school, 2 days a week, starting as soon as I started school, was chess club. So I grew up playing chess, first learning in the container of school and just kind of like as a hobby, but pretty soon started playing in weekend tournaments and working the way up through state and regional and whatever else. But at the same time, I was in other after school activities. So I was in martial arts. I grew up doing taekwondo, and I was in team sports depending on the season. So soccer, baseball, you name it. Just trying out and seeing what I gravitated towards. And so as I grew, I became a lot more into the activities that had me around my friends and in the sunlight. So chess kind of started declining in terms of my interest level, and team sports like soccer predominantly started rising. So I got recruited for soccer to colleges. Decided to play at Georgia. It wasn't as serious as a program. And so I played my freshman and sophomore year. And at the same time, in our off season, I started trying out boxing, which taekwondo is a kick heavy martial art. Mm-hmm. Boxing was kind of balancing me out, so I could learn hands, and I fell in love with it so much so that I wanted to stop playing soccer and start competing for the Georgia boxing team. So I actually started boxing really late when it comes to career boxers. Most learn how to box when they start walking. They're competing in hundreds or over at least over 100 amateur fights before they even think about Golden Gloves, Olympics, pro, that kind of track. I had about a dozen, a little bit more fights before I started competing more regionally. So started boxing in college, and I've always had kind of rough shoulders. So we can talk about injuries and prehab and rehab and all that kind of stuff, because I unfortunately have a lot of experience with that. But after a shoulder injury, I needed to get a surgery, and that's how chess boxing found me. I was sitting in a recovery bed. I was playing a lot of online chess. Chess was a hobby throughout my life, even after I stopped competing. and I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and YouTube literally served me a video. It auto played. I didn't even click on it. It auto played me a video that was chess boxing, and that's how I found the sport.
Sheesh. How long ago was that?
I was recovering from surgery in 2016. So yeah, like spring 2016.
2016 was kind of your initial intake into chess boxing as a sport.
And really just consuming the content, because I was getting chubby in a recovery bed. I wasn't in fight shape. So yeah, I started watching the videos, reading the articles, tracked down the contact information for the founder of chess boxing, Ipe Ruping, and reached out to him. I was like, yo, I love what you created. I feel like I was born for it, and I'd love to participate in it somehow. And he said, when I get healthy, reach back out and he'll plug me in.
Okay. So it was literally from scrolling YouTube, something that a lot of us, and maybe Matt, you fall in the same place. If I get stuck on YouTube on a topic that I like, I don't get off YouTube.
Yeah. And it's funny. I think social media and particularly Google, which owns YouTube, gets a bad rap for how much data they have on you, how they use their algorithm, how to kind of trap you in these rabbit holes. But I think that's bullshit. It is an incredible tool. And if you have willpower and discipline, it won't waste your time. It'll enhance your life. It serves you exactly what you feed it. So I was feeding it a lot of martial arts and chess. It served me a life-changing sport that I probably wouldn't have found otherwise. I wasn't out there looking for new hybrid sports that I could compete in. It found me based off of my search history, my, the YouTube videos I'd watched, which are a lot of like old boxing fights to study, and me playing a shit ton of online chess, and here you go. Here's a new life. Here's a world championship. Here's the first person to represent your country competing in a sport internationally. All things that I could never have dreamed up or written on a vision board or pursued. It was handed to me.
Yeah. No, and when I say I get lost on YouTube, I don't mean that it necessarily means that it means that it's negative. But I definitely get down the rabbit hole, start looking at ads, start looking at coaching stuff, start looking at, and of course I'm honestly glad that Google has this much information on me so that I don't get bird videos, cat videos, and paint drying on the wall. I mean, ain't nobody really trying to do that anyways.
But yeah, it's funny, since I've started dating my girlfriend, the intake of cute, mostly pit bull videos has gone up dramatically, because that's like all we send back and forth to each other. It's like there's a pit bull incoming to our little household here, and it's funny how introducing someone else into your life also introduces more data into your algorithm. I wasn't sending pit bull videos prior to a year ago, so my feed looks drastically different today than it did 2022 and before.
Yeah. And so let's go back to when you stopped chess. Like how high did you get before you got into more team sports when you were younger? And I mean, it obviously fizzled out because you want to do more stuff out in the sun, but I mean, was there anything in the back of your head that I thought maybe I'll get back to this?
It's always been a part of my life. I just kind of, chess teaches you to think moves ahead. I thought moves ahead with a career in chess. I was like, a lot of being alone studying, a lot of smelly, church common rooms where you play tournaments, a lot of, not that much fun, to be honest. I mean, and so, yeah, I mean, I was good at it. For my age group, I would win tournaments. I would win time, especially the quicker chess. And I was president of my high school chess club. I ended up at University of Georgia while I was on the boxing team. I was student body director of finance. So I got to allocate this big budget of UGA's funds to student organizations. And in the history of University of Georgia, the chess club has never been better funded than during my tenure. So it's always been a passion. It's just not it just wasn't how I wanted to spend my time as a energetic little kid.
Yeah. Want to go a different direction. Well, it somehow got you back to a place where you know how to box, you know how to do Muay Thai, you know how to do chess, you win the world championship, and then you start another organization that incorporates the striking and your yogic background that that is another life-giving thing. I mean, it doesn't seem like you could have reverse engineered and put these dots together by yourself, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're referring to Fight and Flow. And I have a thing for two antithetical or opposite things that end up going together, which I think is kind of the basis or the core, the fabric of humanity. This concept of balance, or yin and yang, equal opposites. It's fighting and it's philanthropy for Brawl For A Cause. It's brain and it's brawn for chess boxing. And my newest project, my newest company is Fight and Flow. It's basic martial art movements combined with yoga for a full body workout you can do anywhere without equipment. And it was born, I mean, like a decade ago was the ideation for it, but it was really bred during COVID. And with this idea that you can work out, and you may need to work out anywhere without any kind of equipment. How do you do that effectively? How do you do that safely? And how do you take care of your whole body? And so, yeah, that's when it started and how it grew.
Yeah. And so let's push back to injury. What was the gravity of the injury? How did it happen? What was it? And let's start there.
Yeah. So again, grew up with a single mom, had babysitters periodically growing up. And one of my babysitters was holding me by my wrists and swinging me around like little
Superman?
kids
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And both my shoulders came out of socket. So, it wasn't necessarily her fault. I was born with hypermobile joints. So both of my shoulders have come out over 100 times. My knee is dislocated. It's just something that is part of my makeup. And there's good and bad things about my genetics, just like your genetics, just like everyone's listening's genetics. So on a positive side, I build and retain muscle more efficiently and effectively than an average median kind of human. But on the other side of things, I get injured a whole lot more, and especially when it comes to joint health. So I had to get really good pretty early on at prehabbing and rehabbing. It was only a matter of time before the next dislocation. When one happens, another subsequent dislocation is exponentially more likely. It's just the nature with that kind of injury. Once it happens once, it's kind of a slippery slope downhill. So all through high school, it was coming out. One of the reasons I chose soccer is I was less dependent on my shoulders. One of the benefits of hypermobile joints is I had really good shoulder flexibility. So on soccer throw-ins, I could take the ball back all the way back to my butt, which gave me a lot more torque and ability to have long throw-ins, which turned into an asset for my club team and my high school team. My high school team ended up going to the Georgia State Championships all 4 years I was in high school. And for 2 of those 4 years, I was the top assister on the team playing defense. I was center back. So it was all like these long throw-ins that basically worked like corner kicks. And we had plays built around them where we had someone crashing back post pretty much every time. The goalie would underestimate my throw, and then we would crash the back of the net and score a lot of goals that way. But I mean, it would come out so much, and it was less of an issue when I was a kid because you're so resilient and so gung-ho about your sport and competing, and that's number one priority. But as I got older and ran out of stem cells, it became a lot more painful. And so I ended up getting an open Bankart surgery on my right shoulder. And I'm holding off getting surgery on this left shoulder, which will probably happen eventually. But I'm experimenting with some non-invasive options before I go under the knife again.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You said open Bankart. Is that what that's called?
Yeah. So there's a Bankart, which is orthoscopic. They don't cut you open. And then an open bank heart is when they give you a 6-inch incision here. And then they unattach all of the ligaments in your shoulder. They remove any kind of gunk that is built up because of repetitive injury. And then they burn a bunch of scar tissue usually in the front of the joint, but whichever side it typically dislocates, and that kind of holds it in place. And then they reattach all the ligaments over that burnt scar tissue. And then they sew you back up, and you sleep sitting up for 6 weeks. You can't do pretty much anything for 6 months, including, you think you could like run or do some cardio, but it's really high impact coming down on, pavement or even a track. So they don't want any of that kind of impact on your shoulder. So it's a lot of stationary bike and a lot of online chess.
Wow. Okay. I mean, was that kind of the first time that you had been aggressively immobilized? Like, because it sounds like you were a pretty active kid, and then a pretty active high schooler and college. Like, is it the first time you really had to be completely immobile?
No, I've had knee injuries. I dislocated my patella my junior year of high school. Big recruiting
in the world
for soccer. I've torn my MCL. I had to remove about 80% of my lateral meniscus in my knee. So my left knee, especially, stuff like running isn't good for it. Meniscus's job in your knee is to provide like padding, basically. So where most knees have 100% of the padding that you're born with, and it's already kind of rough on your knee to run a lot, I only have 20% of it left, and it deteriorates over the course of your life. So yeah, I mean, plenty of injuries. My wrist is messed up from punching stuff. And it's just, it's part of doing what you love. If you love doing high contact, high activity kind of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, where did you come up with it being at that point that you did the surgery, like not as opposed to waiting or as opposed to going under the knife earlier?
Yeah, cost efficiency. I was 26 and about to turn 27 and lose my 25, about to turn 26 and about to lose my additionally insured on my parents' insurance, which was a much better insurance policy than the one that I could get as a, quarter life male. So yeah, I knocked out a knee surgery and a shoulder surgery like 3 months before my parents' insurance ran out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so, yeah, that's actually really smart. I think a lot of people that have things that are going to come at some point maybe should think about doing that kind of thing. Cause it's very expensive to be doing, not attached to another company or what have you, like on own insurance. Good luck, dude. Good luck. So when you were recovering, you said it was 6 weeks up straight or 6 months up straight?
6 weeks sleeping upright. So you're in a fixed position brace that your arm needs to stay in. And if you lay back, your arm is essentially straight up. So, all the blood rushes out of your arm. Blood is necessary for recovery. It's what brings the components of your body that help you heal to the parts that need healing. So you don't want blood pooling. You want good circulation while you sleep. So they tell you to sleep upright. I basically slept in a lazy boy for 6 weeks.
Okay. Man, been through the ringer, man. Been through the ringer. So, but I mean, where in that recovery did you talk to the owner of chess boxing, or did you get affiliated with him? Was that at the beginning or?
No, like maybe like 2 weeks into recovery or something. It was towards the beginning. Just sent him like, cold email and something. I think a lot of people underestimate a cold DM or a cold email, but it's led to some of the best things in my life. I mean, chess boxing, one of them, but I sent a cold DM to this content creator named Ludwig, who's one of the biggest content creators in the world, and ended up becoming co-host of his chess boxing event that won best streamed event of the year because of an Instagram DM. So it's something that I highly recommend. If it pops in your head, it's like, I should reach out to that person. Do it again. Do it politely, persistently. Seek to provide value. Don't just like reach out to people asking for stuff. But it's something that works.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so you slept upright for 6 weeks, and then what did the rest of the recovery look like for that? Like, when did you start getting back to boxing?
After 6 months. Yeah. I mean, a lot of rehab. So you get back as soon as 6 weeks is over, they get you in rehab like the next day. So as soon as you're out of the brace, they start working on mobility. But basically, like, you aren't going up any further than about 45 degrees. And you aren't going back any further than like, you definitely can't get past 90. So they start first with mobility, then with strengthening. And one of the first things that they cleared me to do was actually play the drums. But what they want you to avoid is any kind of motion back here or back here, which obviously, punches you can't really do.
Yeah.
But all drumming is like right in front of you. So I spent like 3 months doing nothing but learning how to play drums. I got a drum set, and I live with a punk rock band, and the drummer would just like come downstairs and teach me how to how to play.
Wow. So it was kind of anything that you could do to get moving to speed up the recovery.
Yeah, I don't do well sitting still. So recovery. I need to be learning something or doing something, or progressing somehow.
Yeah. Okay. So the injury you got off. So is the knee healed up too? I mean, outside of you having only 20% of it.
Yeah, knee's okay. I mean, I stay away from, like, I'm probably not going to be doing Ironmans. That's not
fair enough.
End life journey. But I can do other things.
Yeah.
A lot of biking. Biking is low impact. It's still high cardio, and it's good.
So once you recovered and you started doing mobility and some rehab, and then you got back to, did you get back to boxing immediately after that once you were cleared, or?
Pretty much. Yeah. I miss it a lot. I mean, it's one of my favorite things. So, even before I was cleared, I was shadow boxing. I was just avoiding contact. Contact is really what they want you to stay away from. Yeah. But I could still build muscle memory. One of the best things you can do while learning how to be a better boxer is shadow box. It's visualization. It's building good technique and the muscle memory that when you do start incorporating in contact or sparring, you already have a really good base to build on.
Yeah. And so you get back to shadow boxing, and then is that when you had started your chess boxing journey? Like, is that the year that you tried to go international, or like, when did that come about?
No, I mean, I wasn't in touch with Ipe for like a year or over a year. I mean, I had to get back in shape. And I wanted to spar again or compete again before I was like, put me in, coach. But yeah, about a year and a half later, I reached back out. It was like early 2018. And I asked him, hey, if there are any events this year, or even if I can come to one and just see it in person, I'd like to, and I'm ready. And he said that the only event that I would be able to enter was the World Championship. And that's because no American had ever competed in the World Championship. So I was just kind of default in if I wanted to participate. And so I decided to lean into that opportunity. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Was that like 6 months of training to get to that date, or was it 3 months from the time you talked to him, or was it 2 weeks, or what? I mean, what are we talking?
Yeah, it was an 8-week camp. The conversation probably happened like 12 weeks out, 11 weeks out. So, I had a little bit of time to plan. And I'd saved up enough money to make training my full-time job. And then through my nonprofit, Brawl For A Cause, we did a fundraising campaign, mostly for the brawlers that had gone through our program. I just reached out to them and was like, hey, I'm about to do what you did. I believe in this thing, Brawl For A Cause. I want to compete for it. And of course I can't compete in my own events. I work on them and I commentate in them and that kind of thing. But I want to walk the walk and fight the fight. I don't want to just talk the talk. And they support it in a big way, to help raise money to fly over to Calcutta, India, to take on the best people in the world at chess boxing.
Yeah. And at that point, had you already been doing boxing and chess at the same time? Had you already had practice doing that? Or is that like kind of, hey guys, I need a training camp and I'm just going to start doing chess in between rounds? Or did you find chess boxing people and do it?
No, I mean, but kind of by default, if I'm the first person from the States to compete on an international level, it was very difficult to find training partners. There's a guy in LA that had been doing it as a hobby, Andrew McGregor. There was a guy in Seattle that had flown over and competed in like a underground show in London. David Depto, both of them helped inform my training, but I couldn't meet up with them to, do anything real that would mimic what kind of competition I would be facing in India. So I had to cobble together my own training program, which, I'm glad I did, because a lot of people are asking for it now. They want to start training chess boxing, and they might not have people nearby them to be able to train with. So you can mimic a lot of the same things that you're going to be encountering when you compete alone. You really just need a high heart rate and some adrenaline in your system to practice chess effectively through the lens of chess boxing. And then you need to practice state change management to be able to psych up your central nervous system from 0 back to 100 to prime to get ready to fight again.
Wow. So you're not walking in there cold.
Yeah. 5 minutes
down.
is a lot of downtime. So a minute in between rounds, 3 minutes of chess, and then a minute in between rounds is 5 minutes of total downtime. That's enough time for you to exit that fight or flight kind of state that you need to be in when you're fighting. And you want to get out of that state as soon as possible, because that state actually hurts you while you're playing chess. So there's two parts of your brain that you primarily use during chess boxing. One is the really primal part of your brain, the reptilian part that evolved first. And that's fight or flight, that's survive. And that's what you use when you fight. And then the prefrontal cortex is what you use for pattern recognition, visualization, and strategic thought. And that's the part of your brain that's best to use when you're playing chess. So the sooner that you can switch between those two parts of your brain and use more of its capacity for it, the more you're using your potential. You can face a grandmaster in chess, but if they aren't using the part of their brain that makes them a grandmaster, you're playing a child. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to undermine themselves subconsciously. So you want to be able to manage your state in between rounds and prime for whatever's coming next.
I mean, in that 12 weeks, how long did it take you to figure out, one, that you need to switch between, and then two, actually implement the switch effectively?
Yeah, that's where the seeds for Fight and Flow come in. I was a certified yoga teacher. I had done my 200-hour, and I had this tool belt of yoga for both recovery and for priming. And so I used two techniques in pranayama or breath work to be able to prime for each activity. I used what's called Kapalabhati or fire breathing. If you're familiar with Wim Hof, he adapted his breathing technique from yoga. It's essentially hyperventilating, over oxygenating the bloodstream, and tricking your body into believing that it needs to survive, that it's in danger. And so I do that in between rounds before a boxing round. And then I use a breath called Samavriti, or box breathing, in order to calm down my central nervous system, lower my heart rate, signal to my body that's okay to dump adrenaline and relax. And that helps me shift back to prefrontal cortex, strategic thinking, pattern recognition kind of brain.
Sheesh. So it almost like another thing that was yin yang set up almost perfectly in your background to be in a position where, wow, if I implement this that I already know and I implement this that I already know, here we go. We got something here.
Yeah. If there's anything that, this particular life is for, if you believe in a meaning of life or purpose or dharma, this life is definitely duality. It's balance between opposites. It's, this brain, this body is that expressed, both through my athletic pursuits, through my businesses. It's, everything kind of centers around that idea.
Yeah. Okay. So you figure this out like 4 weeks in, 8 weeks in, 10 weeks in. What are you thinking? Like in your training camp,
No,
putting these two together? You knew that before?
Yeah. I mean, the on the surface, chess and boxing is two antithetical or opposite things, but they have a ton of similarities. One, and two, you need to be able to do both as effectively as you can. So it was second nature to me, but people in our community hadn't been actively practicing breath work in between rounds before. And that I pioneered or championed that in 2018, and now it's common practice. Going into the 2018 World Championship, I had never chess boxed before. So I certainly wasn't the best chess player, and I certainly wasn't the best boxer, but what I was best at was the state change management in between rounds.
Dang. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I didn't even know that was a thing. That is wild. So is that, I mean, after that camp, is that when you knew that like the idea for Fight and Flow to be something that you wanted to do down the road came, or is that not there kind of in the back of your head?
No, it was way before chess boxing. It was in college, because my college girlfriend made fun of me for doing yoga while I was boxing. And I was doing yoga to try to be more flexible, be more mobile, recover after an injury. And she was like, I thought I was dating a badass boxer, not a sissy yoga boy. And I was like, well, why can't I be both? Why can't both exist at the same time? And that was the seed. That was the impetus. So yeah, maybe like 2011, 2012, I think.
Yeah. So 2011, 2012, that comes to you and you're implementing it. And then when did you form Fight and Flow?
Oh, I got I have to look at the records, but maybe like 6-7 years ago, I got the handles, the domain, the everything.
You're on it.
I just I pick up a bunch of domains when I have ideas for stuff, just in case, like if it's available, and then, 2 years later, I'm ready to actually put time and effort into it and start it, and someone else has scooped it up. Like, that's a worst case scenario. Now you have to go buy it for 10x the cost from some guy that, just decided to get it for the $4.99 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reserved it on all social media and stuff a while ago, and I have that for a lot of other projects I'll probably never get to. I have a lot of ideas. And I'm a starter, not a scaler. So I try to keep track of what I think is worth starting. Mm-hmm. And I end up serving a lot of my ideas to others that I think are well suited for them, that I know that I probably won't do.
Fair enough. So you raise the money from past brawlers, right? You do this fight camp, this cobbled together fight camp in your own words, where you put yourself through this. You have not chess boxed legitimately until you get there. Now, is this a tournament style? Is this a one fight and that's it? Is it a round robin? How does it work?
Yeah, sometimes you fight multiple times in a day. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that. But it was 2 weeks in India. I got there early to acclimate to time zone, and to lose the last bit of my weight to make my weight class. But yeah, once you weigh in, competition starts the next day and goes for 4 more days. So 5 days total. And then, yeah, you fight, like March Madness style, like bracket style, until the championship. So you kind of draw seeds. They don't do dynamic, placement where you're like ranked. We don't really have like a good funnel to accurately rank people, so we just do it randomly. So in theory, like a championships caliber match could be in the very first round, just because the two best happen to draw unlucky straws against each other.
Yeah. Okay. And is this weight class, or is it just country representation?
All weight class.
All weight class. What'd you fight at?
90 kilogram, which is like 197.5 pounds.
Okay. When you were boxing amateur or any other stuff, is that kind of what you were fighting at, or is that what you were walking around? Lighter?
I was lighter, because when I was competing amateur, I was in college,
Mhm.
and I hadn't fully grown into my bones yet. So I was fighting like light heavyweight, like 184.
Okay. Okay. And about
And
how
I
tall are
walk
you?
around at like 215.
Walk around at 215.
I'm six
Yeah.
foot.
Okay. Yeah. We're very similar weight, different composition, but very similar weight. Right now I'm like 220. I
Nice.
can imagine getting under 200. I mean, it really wouldn't be that hard with some wrestling cutting, but I assume that's probably how it went for you to get to 197. Not too bad to get to 90 keys.
I hate cutting weight. I mean, I wrestled in junior high and beginning of high school. I could have made 85 kilogram.
Mhm.
It's not that big of a stretch. But when I competed, I was more like 205, 210. So it wasn't a terrible weight cut. I didn't want to be super uncomfortable, especially in India.
Mhm.
I had to pack most of my own food getting over there. So I didn't want to take any chances with food poisoning. So yeah, I mean, weight cut is just science. It's calories in, calories out, water weight. So yeah, just did good planning. And my teammate in 2018, Kevin, really knew that well. He was a wrestler in college, and helped me a lot with that.
Okay. So you went and competed, you win, and then what does it look like after that? Have you gotten back out there outside the US and competed more? Has it been your reigning champ and you're there? Is there tons of other people jumping in? Like, what does that look like these days?
Yeah, I formed, Team USA chess boxing. I'm still, the captain and the administrator of that. We formed another Team USA to go to the 2019 World Championships, which happened just before COVID, December 2019. I competed. I placed third. I lost to a French chess boxer who was about 650 ELO points higher than me.
What does that mean? ELO points.
Yeah, so ELO is your chess rating. It's your chess caliber. So a grandmaster, like a Magnus Carlsen, the highest rated chess player of all time, is in like the 2800s. My opponent was like 2250.
Mhm.
And I was between 16 and 1700 when I was competing in chess boxing. So if that gives you a frame, and then like a child would be like 400 to 600 ELO. If you don't study any chess, if you play occasionally on chess.com or at a meetup or something, you're probably like 600 to 700 ELO.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd be there or below. I've literally never played chess in my life, not one time. Um, it is not something that
Yeah,
we
that'd probably be like 0 to 50, maybe 50 to 100 if you like pick it up quick.
Yeah.
But
Never played in my life. When I was a kid, my dad was a Marine. So what we did was a lot of running, a lot of pull-ups, a lot of sit-ups, and a lot of yard work.
yeah, actually a lot of armed forces veterans, that kind of thing, gravitate towards chess boxing because a lot of downtime, both in the armed forces and in prison, is spent playing chess, and then both are very physical places. So you see a lot of like ex-prisoners, and you see a lot of like armed forces dudes get into chess boxing.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense that it would bring in people that are both desiring an intellectual challenge and then also a physical challenge. Because I mean, nobody loves getting hit in the face, no matter who you are, no matter how long you boxed. Or I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe Trenton Gant does. I don't know. I don't. I'll tell you that right now.
Uh, once you get over the hill of seeing a punch in the face as like danger or pain, and you see it as a lesson, it becomes maybe like masochistically, but it becomes like something you kind of look for because it means like you have a opportunity to improve somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really don't mind getting punched in the face. I still spar with all the brawlers. I still leave myself open so that they can have the light bulb moment of scoring their hit. Yeah, I mean, I get it. You probably don't go out of your way to go get punched in the face as like a normal person, but especially as a fighter, you have to kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the first one that's down to wrap up and go to the ground all day, down to do that in dress clothes. That's fine. My comfortability is not with my hands. It's on the
Mhm.
ground because that's the background, you know? So I guess it is what it is. So 2019, you got third, but from then to now, are you done competing for good for now? Are you like, what is that? Your team captain, but are you just kind of leading other guys getting into the sport, or are you still competing?
Yeah, so after I was eliminated in 2019, the founder of Chess Boxing, Ipe, asked me to co-commentate alongside him for the rest of the World Championship. So it was my first time commentating for chess boxing, but I had done it a lot for my own Brawl For A Cause events.
Mhm.
So I had some experience, but doing it alongside Ipe for the final, I think it was 2 days, 3 days. Yeah, because even after I lost to the French guy, I showered, changed, came back, and started commentating that day. So yeah, as soon as that world championship was done, Ipe was basically like, listen, I think you have a talent for this. We need someone like you in our community to be the voice. You need to become the Joe Rogan of chess boxing. We need you to promote, to commentate, and to help our sport grow that way. And he didn't necessarily say like don't compete anymore, but after the first year, and especially after more yoga training, I don't talk about this much publicly, but after I got deeper into yoga, ahimsa, or the idea of loving kindness and harm nothing, started to seep in a lot more subconsciously. And the only way that I could have won against the French guy was to hurt him. I'd knocked him down twice in the first round. He was hurt. And I had to like finish him to win. 3 knockdowns in a round is a TKO. And there's something that held me back from it. Like when I competed more after that, I just have less of a killer instinct, less of a like deep seated reason to knock someone out or to, inflict pain. So, that was kind of happening at the same time that chess boxing needed, more of a face voice. And so I made the decision to start transitioning out of competing. That being said, post Mogul Chess Boxing Championship with Ludwig, there's been some influencer boxing offers and, maybe some exhibition chess boxing kind of offers. So, price is right and exposure is right, I'll probably compete again. But when it comes to like going back to the World Championship, I'll be ringside with a mic. I won't be in the ring. I can help our community and our sport much better in that capacity than just being another fighter.
Okay. And you mentioned something that I'd like to understand more on. You said there's not so much of a deep-seated need or a desire to inflict on your opponent. I mean, is that something that kind of like something more deep-seated that led your trajectory in boxing in the first place?
I think everything stems from ego and childhood trauma. So if you look at human psychology through the lens of Freud, you're assessing someone based off of what happened in their childhood, what the relationship with their parents is like, and knowledge of ego, id, and superego. Mm-hmm. And for me, this has come after years of therapy and working on myself. But my dad left my mom when I was 9 months old. And after they separated, there was other childhood abandonment kind of episodes that happened that I won't go into. But I had this psychological dynamic in my life that if I wasn't good enough, people would leave me. So the way that I made myself good enough is by, competing in the ultimate form of competition in my mind, which was brain and brawn. I checkmate you or knock you out. And if there's a big brute that walks into the gym that, is bigger, stronger, faster, whatever, back of my head, I'd be like, I could checkmate that guy. I could outsmart him. And, if there's some, nerd in a chess hall, checkmating everyone with a bigger title than I have, then I'll be like, I kicked that guy's ass. And that made me feel better about myself. That inflated my ego where I was lacking. And I think once a combination of things happened to help heal that. One, a lot of self-awareness and therapy. I think everyone should be cultivating self-awareness in your own way, whether that's meditation, journaling, talking to someone, fill in the blank. I think you should be actively working on it. So taking action on that knowledge. Just having the knowledge isn't enough. So do the therapy, do the retreats, do the personal development work. And then, let your life change as a result. We can stay stuck in our old patterns. And even with the knowledge and the work, our life can not change much. But being open to change, non-resistant to change, it can start to unfold. So the big things that happened for me was the self-awareness, therapy, and work, coupled with winning a world championship and being like, okay, I can do that. And then the last bit was getting a lot deeper into yoga, which, I'm not alone in this. A lot of people see as a life philosophy or even as a religion kind of replacement. And a lot of the teachings of yoga helped inform, my desire not to harm anyone and believe deeper in this karmic balance to life that I had already believed in and experienced, but just understood in a deeper way and knew that I just had a different role to play moving forward. I wouldn't be here being able to fill this role without having done what I did, without having the childhood that I had, without having the, competitive streak where I felt like I needed to beat everyone in order to be worth it, or worthy. But those things led me here, and acting in accordance with my truth and who I am now. It doesn't make sense for me to compete at a high level where inflicting pain is part of the game.
Wow. It sounds kind of like a transformation, man. Sounds like yoga was part of you and you let it be all of you, or fill in gaps that you previously had stopped it in the door, like didn't let it come into certain rooms, and now you're there.
Everyone's transforming all the time. I mean, it is the only thing that's true. Every second you're a second older, and you're either transforming in a positive direction or a negative direction. So it's, yeah, I mean, transformation is table stakes for being human. We're evolving. It's who we are, what we do. So yeah, definitely have changed a lot since I was a little kid. Changed a lot since I was competing in chess boxing, and I'll continue to change a lot.
Okay. So you get done competing. Now, when you say you got deeper into yoga, was it a specific retreat? Was it an extra training? Was it X more hours on the mat? Was there something there that happened that kind of pushed you over?
Kind of. So since 2018, I've been a Lululemon ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
Love that company and that community. And through that ambassadorship, I had access to a Lululemon staff and ambassador only yoga teacher training. So I applied for that, got a spot in it. And the unique thing about this yoga teacher training is every other yoga teacher training in the world that I'm aware of is profit driven. The yoga teacher needs to make money in order to continue doing yoga teacher trainings or to continue to run their studio or whatever. This Lululemon one was really unique because they had a massive budget that was for employee engagement and retention. It wasn't intended to make any money. So it was so incredibly over the top and so deep with incredible guest speakers, guest teachers, and most of it being structured in a way that was designed to enhance learning, not, be cost effective or not to get a margin. And so, I learned from the head of asana for the Chopper Center, Danielle Mika Nagel, and we had people come in from, billionaires that have applied a yogic philosophy to their life and business and how to integrate it into, their vocational pursuits, not just their practice on the mat. We had, Deepak Chopra's a personal astrologer who opened up, a science to something that I thought was complete bullshit prior to that. And then just surrounded by incredible people that were willing to put their life on hold for 3 months to dive deep into this way to live life that's different and unique. So, I think not just yoga teacher training, but that particular one was really transformative and sparked a fire that's still burning in me.
Did you say 3 months?
Yeah.
I think it was 12 weeks long.
Yeah, it was really unique. So they bookended it with in-person practice. So we had an in-person in the Redwood Forest in California. We had people from 6 continents, all part of it. So you'd fly in for the first stint of, I think it was, a month, 3, I think it was 3 weeks. And you would learn all the material, hands-on, chug it, intentionally, like not, mastered or practiced yet. And then you would go back to your own studios and you would start to teach one-on-one. You started to teach small classes and you'd be taking notes and attending virtual classes to kind of share, hey, here are obstacles we're running into, here's ways that we navigated them. And then after a period of that, about a month, we come back and finish the in-person component with all the knowledge of trying to apply the first in-person. So really, really well done way to do it. And they're, at least for me, like I got a full scholarship to this thing. So they're covering my flights out to California, me staying in the beautiful Redwood Forest for, almost 2 months on the front and back end, plus all the meals, plus all the actual instruction. And so, yeah, I mean, all said and done, the amount of time, energy, and resources that Lululemon has invested into me and others like me in the health and wellness community is insane. The company does it right. And I'm so grateful for them. I'm a, customer or ambassador or whatever for life. It was awesome.
Man, that sounds like a lot in a great way. A lot in a great way.
Sure.
Was there anyone that you met there that had as much of an impact on you as the experience itself did?
Yeah, I mean the Danielle Mika Nagel, the person running the yoga teacher training, who designed it after about 50 years of experience in yoga, growing up with yoga and dance, and then transitioning to teaching. She's also on my board of advisors for Fight and Flow. She developed the asana side of what we do. So she went from my teacher to my advisor, and now my teammate in building this new fitness concept that uses very old techniques and ways of moving and just makes them more accessible to a Western audience, and specifically to middle to older age males. I think we need it the most and do it the least. And if I can be a small part in helping more men get into these types of modalities, I think that's a project, a company, time well spent.
Yeah. What do you think is really stopping people though, from like masculine men, right, from getting into the yoga side, or even Fight and Flow, blending the two of the more masculine side and the feminine side? I mean, what do you think is really stopping them? Because it's not access to the information, right?
It's packaging. It's the way it's being communicated. So you hear yoga, and as men, we're conditioned to think yoga pants, yoga girls, yoga studio, yoga whatever. You call it something slightly different. You do the same movements, but make it something that's more attractive or accessible. Mm-hmm. they get the same benefit with it being called a different name and being delivered a slightly different way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, and I think I saw on your social a while ago back in, I mean, I guess it was last year. Did you end up doing Fight and Flow at Imagine?
Yeah. So Imagine, and this is a trend in a lot of companies similar to Imagine, which I can get into, but they invested in a wellness stage. So I was one of the hired facilitators for wellness activities at Imagine, which actually got us artist bands. I got the same band, wristband that Grizz got, who headlined the whole thing. So it's kind of crazy that now being in health and wellness, being in fitness, with people's focus shifting more to it, especially post-COVID, I found that there's a lot more companies willing to invest in it, which is why I'm doubling down on what I was already doing pre-COVID, which was building businesses around my passions, namely health and wellness. And so now, I'm in this streamer gaming kind of world, and gaming companies are investing heavily in health and wellness. So I have 5 international events coming up where I'm leading Fight and Flow and wellness breaks on main stages at massive video game competitions, Europe and North America. And it's essentially turning into our expansion plan for Fight and Flow. It's paid appearances at major markets so that we can plant seeds and certify people on the front or back end of these massive conferences or competitions. And I always build lifestyle businesses. I'm not trying to raise a bunch of money and be, have a fiduciary responsibility to people that want to make more money off of the money they put in. It's like, I can self-fund these. I can work hard and compensate for not having, millions in the bank of other people's money. And I can live my life in such a way that leads to organic opportunities to expand and grow, which is currently happening. We expanded to New York with our first certification last month. We have 6 certified trainers that are leading classes in New York, and a partnership with the oldest boxing gym in America, Gleason's, where Muhammad Ali trained, Mike Tyson trained, and now we're a recovery partner. And we're setting up similar partnerships where either there are chess boxing hubs or gaming hubs. So Paris is on the list, London's on the list, LA's on the list, and it'll continue from there.
Dude, my man, you have been rocking since I saw you last. Last time I saw you in Kettle Club, dude. Maybe some of this was going on behind the scenes, but holy, you have been moving.
I try to talk less and do more.
That's a that's a fair assertion. I was about to ask you what the implementation vehicles look like for Fight and Flow. I guess there you go, man. Getting in front of people all over the place.
Yeah, I'm getting paid to commentate international chess boxing events. There's a flight there, a hotel there, a flight back. So tack on a Fight and Flow certification, planting some seeds. It's a nice, organic, free, paid way to expand.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, talking about shooting shots like you were earlier about a cold DM, a cold email. Talk to me about this Ludwig thing. How did that come about? What did you hit him up in the first place for?
Yeah, I was commentating a chess boxing event in Paris last September. I reached out when I found out that he was planning his own chess boxing event and hadn't made contact with anyone in the niche community that we have. He was just doing it independently. He had recruited some of the biggest Twitch and YouTube streamers in the world to try out chess boxing for the first time. And so when I found out about it, I just sent him a DM and I said, hey, here's a little bit of background on me. Consider me part of the team, any way I can help. And this is where I really want to harp on, don't just send a DM and make it all about you or ask, just, try to provide value. So I was like, here's who I can get to the event. Here's how I can help match. Here's how I can help sell tickets or pay-per-views. And I just ended it with, here's my cell in case you want to talk. And within 24 hours, we were on a call.
Right on. So you reached out to him, the shot worked. And then I saw I saw you a little bit on his stream. I think it kind of blew up everywhere. Can you tell me a little bit about how that was? Like, is that the first time you've been on a televised stage to that many people? Or have you been in front of more?
I think Love Is Blind probably did more impressions.
I forgot about Love Is Blind. You were on that, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think Love Is Blind probably had a bigger global impact.
Yeah.
But in terms of live streaming, Ludwig's event, chess boxing event, won live stream event of the year. It had the most concurrent viewers ever on YouTube, and it was the most viewed chess event of all time, more than any world championship. So it didn't only eclipse anything we had done in chess boxing; it eclipsed anything anyone had ever done in chess, which I think is significant. So yeah, I think probably what you're talking about is the first stream he looped me into was a charity stream where I punched him for charity, and
I think that was it. Where he was wearing a big pad, and
guard.
you took a big, was it a right hand?
Yeah, I gave him a right hook. I mean, I still have that. I brought that guard, because understandably so, didn't want to take like a full shot. But you can't feel anything through that. So we actually ended up taking off the guard and just not punching full power. But he wanted to feel like what 40% fit felt like, then 50%, then 60%. And I let him hit me as hard as he could. And all of that. It was supposed to be like a 20-minute bit in this charity live stream. Which would have been, it's 20 minutes over the course of 50 hours. He was live for 50 hours to raise over $300,000 for charity. So 20 minutes and 5 hours is like, that's a little exposure. I ended up being in the tank with him for over 5 hours. So it turned into like a long form podcast. I ended up waxing his armpit for another like fundraising milestone. We played chess in there. We, tried punching each other again. It was all kinds of stuff that was basically my introduction to the streaming world through the platform of the biggest streamer in the world. He was the most subscribed on Twitch of all time at the time, and a guy named Kai Sanat just passed him last month. So in terms of like people I could partner with, not only to get chess boxing out there, but also to develop a personal platform. Literally no one I could have partnered with that would have been bigger or better. And so that was a DreamHack weekend in Atlanta, which was in November. So it ended on Sunday. On Monday, I went live for the first time, and over 100,000 unique people came through the stream, which launched my Twitch, which, I've been streaming at least 3 times a week and more often like 5 times a week ever since November when Ludwig launched my career.
Yeah. What do you like about streaming most as a creator?
I think it's the future. There's nowhere you can have more direct access to the fill in the blank, celebrity, leader, fitness instructor, whatever. You can ask questions in real time. You can see your questions pop up and other people in the community can interact with them. It is so much more real time and responsive and addictive than anything else, because you end up forming communities around people, which are essentially just like concentrated ideas. So you have these different streamers that represent different expressions of humanity and that do different things, and that acts as a magnet to other like-minded people. And this phenomenon that's happening on Twitch started to catch during COVID because everyone was stuck inside, but has only continued to get bigger and bigger. And we have a generation growing up with it right now that never does anything in their life without a Twitch stream up in the background. And I think that's significant when you think about investing time and resources in platforms that are going to have longevity. Probably don't invest in Instagram, probably don't invest in Facebook, and probably start to invest in things like TikTok, which is the present and will decline just like Instagram did, or things like live streaming and various ways to live stream, because it is what is on the rise.
And with you being someone that's live streaming, I mean, is it kind of like regular accounts on other platforms where you're like niching down into a specific thing, or is it just literally everything Matt?
So I got hired by chess.com to host a weekly talk show. I play a lot of chess because a segment of my audience is chess or chess boxing focused. And then all of my content has wellness built in. So I always take breaks in between games. I do desk stretches. I do breath work. I do guided meditations. Sometimes I do full on workouts. They're always short form, 10 to 15 minutes. But all of those things are the foundation that the stream is built on. And then on top of that, I can variety game. I can do a playthrough of an old game. I can try out a new game, and people can watch me suck at a first person shooter. I can play other strategy games that are tangential to chess, so that I'll have a little bit more innate ability at. I'm in the middle of a $20,000 team fight tactics tournament right now, which is an auto chess that Box put together, who was one of the biggest creators that was in the Mogul Chess Boxing Championship, and that's how I got in touch with him. So the streaming world right now is pretty insular. Like if you're connected to one of the big guys, you can pretty much get connected to about anyone else for collaborations, for co-streams, and what value I try to provide these people in lieu of an audience as big as them is I try to provide the health and wellness expertise to be able to have them be a conduit for living a healthier, better life for their audience. So I'll pop on and do a break with them in between a game, get some exposure, get some followers. They get, content that's programmed for them, and they get their audience to benefit from a little bit of movement or breath.
Yeah. Sounds like a more collaborative environment than YouTube itself or than any of these other platforms. Maybe.
I mean, I think the real ones are always down to collaborate. I think that's where all growth and goodness happens, is in collaboration. Which I'm pretty anti-competition these days. There's been other boxing promoters that have seen me as competition with Brawl For A Cause. I've always tried to partner with those people. It's very rare that I try to beat someone in business or streaming or whatever.
Yeah.
Just makes a lot more sense to work together.
Build your own adventure and look at other people as something that can add to the overall.
Sure.
So the I definitely thought that the chess boxing with Ludwig was the video that I saw. I think I saw the charity one because I remember the big pad. Mm-hmm. Now, between the time that you did that and the chess boxing event that he put on with other people, other streamers and what have you, I mean, how much time is in between that? Is that like this year? Was that a couple months ago? When was that?
Yeah. So the charity live stream happened late November, okay. And the Mogul Chess Boxing Championship happened early December. And I had 13 days in between the two. And I knew that I was going to get another wave of exposure and momentum through the chess boxing event. So I streamed every single day between the charity stream and the chess boxing event. So 13 days in a row. I streamed over 90 hours, so it was over a full-time job. And I ended up earning affiliate in 7 days and Twitch partner in 12 days, which, for frame of reference, usually that takes like 2 to 4 years for a career Twitch streamer to earn partner.
Okay. So you said, wonderful opportunity. This was cool. I'm going to jump in it right now because I know I'm about to be back on stage again. And so I'm not going to squander the opportunity. Kind of another crossroads where like came in touch with some cool people and provided value. And I have an opportunity to kind of take off over here.
The symptom of self-awareness. I knew it was in line with my life path, with my purpose, with my passions. I knew it was a massive opportunity that doesn't come around every day. And I've structured my life in such a way to be able to lean into new, different opportunities that if you had a full-time job, you couldn't stream like a full-time job on a day's notice. So, I've built my life in such a way to be able to be open, resilient, reactive, and to recognize opportunity and lean into it.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. So, I mean, you mentioned self-awareness a ton here. Now, I know that yoga probably keeps you grounded, right? But what other things, especially as us being men, and it kind of being energy is kind of a weird thing. I mean, what else do you use on a consistent basis to stay grounded and stay self-aware?
I've been journaling since I was 19, pretty much every day. And if I don't journal every day, I account for every day or every week of what happened, how I feel about it. It's a good release. Self-awareness doesn't activate through just the act of journaling. You need a review process. So the first time that I reviewed my journal was during a depressive episode and after a breakup. I started reading my old journals to reminisce about the relationship that I missed. But what I found was other depressive cycles, because I'm wired depressed. I'm wired, past focused, and I need motivation, self or otherwise, in order to get moving. So I found these other cycles when I would fall into these patterns of depression, and how I got out of them. And it was the first time I saw the usefulness of journaling. It basically makes a recipe or an instruction manual to living your own life. It's not like self-help that's, the lowest common denominator for everyone so that they can become a bestseller. It is you yourself being the author of what works and what doesn't. And when that shifted in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm never stopping journaling. And I'm going to refer back to, inevitably, when new levels or new cycles come up in my life, I can refer back to old ones, and it'll be a little bit harder and a little bit different in every level and cycle, because that's how life works. We're playing a role-playing game, video game. We're going to face harder bosses. We're going to have more dynamic side quests, but it's going to be more of the same, just a little bit more complicated. And your own experience is the best way to draw from that and overcome it. So, it started with journaling, but it evolved to, knowing that everyone can benefit from help. Everyone can benefit from coaching. Everyone can benefit from an expert that can weigh in on fill in the blank. I have a chess coach for my chess. I have a boxing coach for my boxing. I hire a mechanic to fix my car. I have a therapist to help me sort through everything psychological that I may be missing. And that's something that I do with partners, with exes. Before I decide to call it, we're going through therapy to figure out how to end the relationship in a good way. Before I decide to stop talking to a family member, I'm going through therapy to figure out why I feel this way, if this is, seasonal or temporary, or if this is something that is the source of a pattern that I want to stop in my life. And so that there's that knowledge cultivation through journaling. There's that action on the knowledge through, whether it's therapy or having tough conversations with loved ones. And then the openness, the resilience, the adaptability to let your life change after. If you cut a parent out of your life, that there's space that is created, both energetically and emotionally. What fills that space? Now, do you have more space to welcome in a good life partner that's fit for you, instead of life partners that resemble the parent that you're working through trauma with? Okay, well, let go of the bad ex-girlfriend, let go of the parent that resembled that ex-girlfriend, and welcome in a perfect life partner.
Yeah, that really sounds like learning as opposed to just repetition of old patterns. That's very well said, Matt. Very well said. I appreciate you sharing.
Passing it along. It's nothing I came up with. It's been used by humans for millennia.
Yeah. So you have coaches in these other places. You have a therapist to help you work through thoughts. Is there an author or an artist that you go to for inspiration or intellectual stoking there?
So we lost one of my favorite authors, philosophers, named Thich Nhat Hanh over the pandemic. But he writes on mindfulness. He's a Buddhist monk. He changed my life. Like I've been open about this in the past, but I'll say it again. There were there were times in my life where I was suicidal and attempted my own life. And one of the ways that I rebuilt, my mindset and self-worth was through his writings. So I started with Happiness by Thich Nhat Hanh, and then Fear is something that I reread. He basically picks a core human emotion or element of humanity, and then does a 100-mile deep dive into it and breaks it down into how it appears in every word, every step, everything. So he is definitely my most gifted author. When I talk to friends that are going through something, which tends to happen a lot, especially now, I gift his books, and he generally has one for whatever they're going through. He spent his life writing them. So I really like him. And then I reread 2 books every year. One is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And I think The Alchemist is a great book that helps you believe in the meaning of life. It helps you believe that your life can have purpose, and it helps you uncover what that purpose could be. And then I read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And that is to eradicate victim mindset. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor who created a branch of psychology that has helped me and helped a lot of people, that is built around reframing. So he reframed his Holocaust experience from woe is me to this experience is going to help me help millions. And I think both are really important things to have in mind, especially if you don't want to commit suicide. One is my life has meaning, and 2 is I'm not a victim. This is happening to me. You take that to me and you change it to for me. And if it's happening for you and it's happening for your purpose, then everything is progress.
Yeah. That I didn't know that level of that side of psychology came from him. I mean, that reframe is the same thing that Jocko Willink talks about, same thing David Goggins talks about, same thing a lot of people, like, extreme ownership is foundationally built upon. It's victor, not victim, all day, every day.
There you go.
That is, wow. Yeah, I have that on my shelf, actually, per your recommendation. I think one day I was asking for book recs, and that's the one you gave me, Frankl, and so I bought it. I haven't gone through it, but I think I'm going to need to. So I don't want to take too much more of your time, man, but I do really appreciate you being here, and I wanted to also kind of circle back to something that I know has been near and dear to your heart that I haven't heard about in a while. What's going on with Brawl for a Cause these days?
Yeah, so we have an event in the works for the first time in 3 years. So we lost about $50,000 during an event that was supposed to happen in 2020. Deposits we didn't get back, money we had already spent on marketing, and it put us in a position where we couldn't have an event on the same level as our 2018 and 2019 events, which were in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Georgia World Congress Center, and we didn't want to come back in a smaller way. And we found a way to make it work. And both my partner and I have a lot more going on in life. He has since become a father. I have other projects that I'm working on. And so it feels God sent that the way that this next event is coming together is doing it. I mean, there were times where I thought, okay, Brawl for a Cause was a chapter of my life. It was my 20s. It was where I learned entrepreneurship and philanthropy, which will both be a part of my life for the rest of my life. And I was at peace with it, with it stopping there, or living on through other projects. But I'm really excited that we can bring it back in its old form on the same scale, and we'll be announcing a date and ways to sign up here in the next, not sure when this is going to come out, but in the next few days or weeks, depending on when this will be out.
This will be out on Monday. So,
okay. Yeah. So
people that are listening to this, a few weeks down the path, you'll hear more information, huh?
Yep.
Okay. And you're excited about it?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a lot of work. But it's always work I cherish, and I never regret how much it takes to go in, that goes into one of these events. So it's going to be a blast, man.
Yeah. Is Fez still involved?
Of course.
Chris?
Yeah. Actually, Chris is involved in every project that I'm doing, and is a partner. He has equity in everything I'm working on, because he's one of those ride or dies that flies with you over to India to film you fighting in the chess boxing world championship, and is always there to pick up the phone when you call and have a crazy idea. So love Chris Castillo.
Yeah. Solid dude. Well, I want to maybe end there, man. We'll have to do it again. I really truly appreciate you making the time to do this, man. It means a lot. I know it's been a long time coming. Is there anything else that you want to leave everyone with on where they can find you, how they can get connected with the non just feminine facing yoga that is Fight and Flow, right? Where can people go to get connected? The majority of our audience is men. So like, how can people get plugged in with you? How can they be a part of Brawl and everything else you got going on?
Yeah. So I'm going live right after this on at Moving with Matt. So it's twitch.tv/Moving with Matt. That's home base right now. And okay. I changed all of my other social media handles to Moving with Matt with 1 T. So if you want to connect any other way, I'm active on all of them, and it's all the same name. If you want to check out Fight and Flow, it's fightandflow.co, no M, fightandflow.co. And you'll see information on Brawl For A Cause on all my channels when it is ready to be released.
Beautiful. Well, I really appreciate you being here, man. And I'm gonna cut the recording there, but thank you. And I look forward to seeing everything that's coming with Brawl For A Cause.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, thanks for holding space, and I'm excited to see what comes of this.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.